Randy, can you see my screen?
I can, yes. When should I start?
Please start.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that people are still being let in from the waiting room, so I will go ahead and start and just do an introduction. Good evening, everybody that is here right now. My name is Randy McDaniel. I'm the interim director for the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department. And I just wanted to welcome everyone to our first virtual workshop for the Riverside Gateway Parks project. And we are really excited to share some details about the product and provide you with a variety of ways that you're able to share your vision, because these are your parks for your vision for great park spaces and Riverside, as well as really help us put the river back into Riverside. We invite you to dream big and let us know what you're most excited about in these new park sites. So with that, I would like to just first do a quick introduction of some commissioners and council members that are joining us, and then I'll turn it over to Council Member Edwards to do a few short words. We have, as I mentioned, Councilwoman Edwards that is joining us. We have, as well as Council Members Fierro and Hemingway. And then we have two park commissioners, Jester and Santori. If I've missed anybody, please feel free to put your name in chat and we can acknowledge you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilwoman Edwards.
Thank you so much, Randy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. As Randy said, I am Councilmember Erin Edwards, representing Ward 1, where many of the sites of the Riverside Gateway project are located. And so I'm so glad to see you here. I know that many of us are a bit tired of virtual meetings, but there will be many opportunities to engage on this project. This is but the first one, and hopefully we'll be able to have the next ones in person to be able to engage in different ways. But before I begin my opening remarks, I really want to hear from you. So if everyone who can go to the chat box, I'm going to ask a question and you can type your answer right in the chat. So here's the question. Just for a minute, close your eyes and imagine that it's 10 years from now and you are standing at the river, the Santa Ana River, here in Riverside. How does it feel? As you start to visualize it, you can type your answer into the chat. 10 years from now at the Riverside, how does it feel? Water cascading down St. Francis Falls, clean, safe, vibrant, cool, safe, yes, safe and lively. Birds, trees, habitats, open spaces. Here's another clean, safe, accessible for everyone. Recreational, active, biological reserve. Cared for, full of native animals and plants. Serene, renewing. Inspired by beauty, parks that are safe, safety has come up again, free of homeless and motorized vehicles, natural, pristine, welcoming, safe, leaves rustling in the wind. There's a vision. All the tributaries are connected, reconnected to the river. Clean, green, safe, wildlife corridor, quiet. People living there now, living in a proper home. Relaxing, fun, taking in nature, joyful community all around, clean water. These are great. Just gonna give a few more seconds to see if any others come in. And you can already see that there are some themes that are emerging that I'm sure will come out later in the presentation. Thank you for writing your thoughts there. You know, the Santa Ana River is Riverside's origin story. From crest to coast, it brings us water that sustains us in our city. It's been a gathering place since the very beginning. The Santa Ana River brings us together. It connects us to our long history of agriculture, creates a strong and vibrant community, and is the backbone of our city. And that is our big why we are all here this evening, to really envision what this river what it has been and what it can become in our city, and what it will take to get us there. So I'm so thrilled to be a part of this session with you this evening, to hear and learn from you, and to see this work come to fruition. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Randy.
Thank you, Councilmember Edwards. That was fun imagining what it's going to be like in 10 years. I enjoyed that. And now I'd like to introduce Elisa Sermala, the City Riverside Parks Coordinator with Parks Recreation Commissioners Department. Lisa.
Thank you, Randy. I also want to thank all of you for participating in tonight's workshop. The Riverside Gateway Parks Project will create master plans for 7 park sites along the Santa Ana River. It will also plan for a new unpaved trail that follows a portion of the existing Santa Ana River bike path between Carlson Park and Rubidoux Avenue. The project's goals align with the city's Envision Riverside 2025 strategic plan and include increasing recreational opportunities, educational use, public access, water quality protection, enhancement of wildlife habitat, creating public gateways to the Santa Ana River, creating recreation destinations, and supporting economic opportunities. Next slide, please. And we want to express our gratitude to the Coastal Conservancy. The Coastal Conservancy is a California state agency established in 1976 to protect and improve natural lands and waterways, to help people get to and enjoy the outdoors, and to sustain local economies along California's coast. It acts with others to protect and restore and increase public access to California's coast, ocean, coastal watersheds, and the San Francisco Bay Area. Its vision is a beautiful, restored, and accessible coast for current and future generations of Californians. And we should also mention there is now a Santa Ana River Conservancy under the Coastal Conservancy, which is how we received our funding. And with that, I would like to introduce Matt Romero, Project Manager of the Riverside Gateway Parks Project.
Opportunities here with the Riverside Gateway Parks. And I really appreciate Councilmember Edwards having, starting us off with that really nice exercise of talking about what we really envision for what the Santa Ana River feels like in 10 years in the future with these projects. And I want to introduce one more quick exercise before we jump in this evening. I want everyone to type into the chat, and we'll make this quick, but what is your favorite memory of going to or being at a park? You know, this could be a specific day, or it could be something that you do routinely at a park in Riverside or surrounding areas, but really want to hear everyone's thoughts. What really makes them enjoy going to parks? All right, we're hearing lots of great things coming through. Kids playing big trees, running water, playing disc golf, social gatherings, barbecues. I'm seeing other disc golf, serenity, sense of place, walking and running in the park. All right, keep these in mind while we work through these slides and start talking about the sites along the Santa Ana River. Feel free to continue dropping these into the chat, because I think it's important for everyone to start thinking high level. What do they really enjoy when they go visit parks in the city of Riverside? Next slide, please. So what is a master plan? Well, a master plan is an organization of programmatic elements. What I mean by that is various activities that one can do in a park. It might be a children's play area. It might be a picnic area. It's a variety of different activities that can be included in a park, and with that is a high level layout of those elements within the site. So what we're focusing on this evening is our first 3 sites for the Riverside Gateway Park project suite. And we'll get into those sites in the next few slides here. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Matt. We want to remind you that we want to hear from you. This session is being recorded. It's also going to be available in Spanish. We have a Spanish channel. So if you would like to switch on over, we have an interpreter live. But there's 3 key ways to share your thoughts about this project. 1, you can call our voicemail and leave a message. You can either leave a comment or question and someone will return your call. You can email us, same thing, comment, question, and someone will respond to you. Or you can go to our website. On our website, you can view an interactive map. That's where you can drop pins and show places where you think amenities should go, some of the program elements that Matt's going to be talking about tonight. You can also take our interactive survey where we ask key questions about what you want to see at the park, what opportunities you see and what challenges you actually see at the park, in the park sites. But really, please do use that chat feature tonight. If we aren't able to answer your questions tonight, we will absolutely respond or post them to the website with under frequently asked questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. So we're going to move through some initial slides just to orient ourselves and understand where these parks are located within Riverside, but also the greater context. Really important is the Santa Ana River watershed. So a watershed is, it's an area that encompasses all of the drainage that essentially flows into the Santa Ana River. So the Santa Ana River begins in the San Bernardino Mountains and runs 96 miles west down to the Pacific Ocean. Its drainage basin or watershed is the largest river basin in Southern California, encompassing 2,700 square miles and runs through 3 counties and 17 cities. Next slide, please. The watershed encompasses many different ecoregions and biomes and provides critical habitat for a variety of species and an important stopping point along the Pacific Flyway. Next slide, please. While the boundaries were fluid, this map shows the rough boundaries of the traditional indigenous territories. The river was a vital element for indigenous communities and provided food, water, and materials for shelters. Next slide, please. Like many rivers and waterways in Southern California, the Santa Ana River has been manipulated and channelized in various stretches to prevent flooding. Next slide, please. The stretch of the river in Riverside and along the project sites has not been channelized and provides a wonderful recreation opportunity, river access, and important habitat. The Riverside Gateway Project Suite includes 8 sites within the county of Riverside, within the city of Riverside. As we look at a little bit more focused lens of these sites within the city of Riverside, we see that there's various plant communities here along and within and adjacent to our project sites. We have some fresh emergent wetlands, coastal scrub, riverine habitat, valley foothill riparian areas, and annual grasslands. Next slide, please. The area is home to several important species, including the Lisbell's Vero, the Santa Ana sucker, and the Arroyo chub, among others. The project sites are adjacent to a variety of different land uses, including residential, mixed commercial, and industrial, and other public facilities. Several of the project sites do lay within the 100-year flood zone, which will inform program for those individual sites. And lastly, each project provides unique views and experiences to enjoy both the Santa Ana River and the city of Riverside. Now, next, we're going to be discussing our first 3 sites of this project suite. As Camp Evans, Loring Park, and Carlson Park, St. Francis Falls. So today, we'll have Eden run through our first initial sites, but really important, beyond this workshop, we really invite members of the community, stakeholders. Your voices are very important. So if you don't find a way today to voice your opinion through polls and in the chat, please visit riversidegatewayparks.com and fill out a survey. There's a wonderful project input map on the website, and an email address, telephone number, many different ways for you to engage with our project team and be engaged. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So to start, we've started to put together some ideas for initial program for the first 3 sites. We've separated the program into 2 themes of passive and active program opportunities. Passive program often utilize outdoor areas with minimal impact, while active program often requires facilities, courses, fields, or equipment. While we have grouped the proposed program for today's conversation, they can be combined or moved or added onto. These are just ideas and are meant to spark your imagination. Because we want you to remember that these are your parks. We're here for idea sharing, likes and dislikes, and to learn from you. So the first site we're going to be discussing today is Camp Evans at Fairmount Park. So here's just a bird's eye to orient you. This is Camp Evans looking back towards downtown Riverside and down the Santa Ana River. Camp Evans is bordered by Fairmount Park at the north and Mission Avenue at the south, with the Santa Ana River along the east. These are some site photos showing the existing trails and vegetation, as well as the levee at the river's edge. These are a few site notes from our site visits, including current entrances and access points, existing paths and trails, and opportunities and constraints. The project site is 100 acres with some elevation change along the southern edge, just below Indian Hill Road. It takes about 20 minutes to walk along the river and 12 minutes if you were to walk across it. Through a separate project done by our team members at ICF, a biological constraints analysis has been done to develop the above habitat and stream restoration areas. These areas will be dedicated to habitat, while the remaining areas will be programmed for community use. So these are just some overarching park improvement ideas for the site. Options include restrooms, trailhead and signage, gathering space, updated trails, a nature play area, among a few others. And as mentioned, we've split the program into passive and active themed opportunities. So for Camp Evans, the passive program opportunities are experiential learning, wildlife viewing, a research station and bike rest stop, pollinator gardens, community orchard, overlook and art installations, and Native American medicinal plant garden. This spatial opportunities diagram is the first round at placing the proposed program on site and focuses on highlighting the habitat restoration areas. This site restoration is supported by a new nature center and amphitheater off Dexter Road with a bridge over the stream to a series of program areas along the river. Access to the habitat restoration area would be limited to habitat viewing stations and overlooks along the southern edge of the site. A new trailhead would be added, as well as a nature play area. Along the existing path. A Native American cultural and ecological walk would be added along the existing path on the eastern edge of the trail. For the active program opportunities, we have exercise stations, a challenge course and zip line, an archery range, a sensitive area walkway and running loop, a water play feature, and a reservation camping area. This active spatial opportunities diagram highlights the river's edge with several programmed areas, including a river amphitheater and meadow for the community gathering, an archery range and disc golf course, excuse me, and exercise stations. A habitat trail and exercise loop provides an additional bridge across the stream within the habitat restoration area and creates a loop back to the existing trail where there's a potential for a challenge course and zip line, as well as a Native American cultural installation garden. So now we're going to have a quick poll that should be popping up. Just to add your top 3 choices.
And to explain, there's going to be one poll that pops up, but it's going to be stacked with 2 questions. We weren't able to put all of the options into one question due to the limitations of Zoom, but we would welcome you to read through the list and select your top 3 options. And these images are inspiration for those options.
And please also add additional into the chat.
We have, I'm going to try to launch the poll right now. We have a little technical difficulty, but hang on one second. Can you see the poll? People are you're using it. Great, thank you. I'm going to give folks about 10 more seconds and we will close the poll. Keep those responses coming in. We have almost 100% participation, so I'm going to keep it open for a couple more seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you so much. Eden, I'm not going to share the results of the poll. Would you like to continue?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have another poll following. So this poll is just going to be the 2 spatial opportunities diagrams. You can either pick if you prefer one, or I believe you can add a comment, a combination of the 2, or none of the above. And again, if you go to the project site, you can also add notes if you'd like to see a specific program in a specific area.
Keep those responses coming in. We've got about 75%. I'll keep it open for a few more seconds. And here are the results.
Great, a combination of the 2. I think that would be wonderful. And again, you can also add additional notes on the website on the interactive map. So moving on to our next site is going to be Loring Park. Next slide. Loring Park is on the southeastern edge of Camp Evans and occupies a hillside just north of Michigan Avenue and Mount Rubio. Here are a few site photos showing the topography of the site and informal entrances and some of the mature trees on site. These are a few site notes showing existing trails at the very steep grade and some beautiful mature trees. There are also wonderful views of Camp Evans, the river, and you can also see the San Bernardino Mountains. The site is 2.5 acres. There's about a 72-foot elevation change. So with that elevation change, it takes about 8 to 10 minutes to walk across. So some overarching park improvement ideas. Here's some overarching park improvement ideas, including overlooks, picnic areas, railing or terraced edge along Mission Avenue, art installations, stone step entrances, seating areas, botanical walk, specimen planting. We've also separated out the opportunities into passive and active options. For the passive program options, they would utilize the existing grade and vegetation for nature-based activities. It would include art installations, overlooks, shaded picnic areas, terrace nodes, and nature trails. The passive spatial opportunities program organizes the program along a meandering path that would follow grades through the site, with formal stairs connecting the site with Camp Evans, and an additional entrance off Ladera Lane. The proposed active program utilizes existing grades for a series of active areas, including nature play areas, group exercise deck, parkour elements, a grand staircase, and terrace decks. In this active spatial opportunities diagram, I think we're a little ahead of ourselves. There we go. Spatial, the site, we have a grand staircase connecting the site to Camp Evans, with the central path that connects to an accessible entrance off Ladera Lane. An additional entrance off Mount Rubidoux Road provides terrace parkour stations on the southeast side of the site and connects to the main trail, where there's a large activity deck. And now we're going to have a poll. So the same system as previously. So your top three, and there's going to be 2 questions. And any additional program you'd like to see, please add to the chat, or again, go to the website or email it in.
This is wonderful. Keep those responses coming in. We've got about 50% participation, so keep on having them come in, and I will end the poll in a few seconds. And here are the results.
Great, so we have overlooks, nature trails, terrace decks, grand stair, nature play, shaded picnic areas, art installations. Okay, and then we'll move on to the next poll for the Loring Park Spatial Opportunities comparison.
And we have nearly 70% participation. I will send the poll in a few seconds. And here are the results.
So a combination of the two. So having both passive and active program. Okay, let's see. So we're going to be moving on to Carlson Park. Catch up on my slides. Carlson Park is going to be the last site we're going to be discussing tonight. Carlson Park at St. Francis Falls is just south of Camp Evans, off Mission Inn Avenue at the base of Mount Rubidoux. Here are a few existing site photos showing the historic towers from the Buena Vista Drive, the Santa Ana River bike path, and the trailhead to Mount Rubidoux, as well as St. Francis Falls. These are some of our site notes showing existing trails and the connection to the Santa Ana River bike path. While we will be looking at the full site, our area of focus is at the St. Francis Falls and the connection to Santa Ana River Trail and Greenway. We're currently planning to maintain the dog park. The full site is 1.8 acres and takes about 2 minutes to walk along the Santa Ana River bike path. Some overarching park improvement ideas include bioswale and stormwater management, a bike rest stop, rock outcroppings and plantings, artistic lighting, night lighting with habitat in mind, river signage, shade structures, plaza gateway, and a nature play area. These have also been separated into passive and active opportunities. The passive program includes planting terraces with specimen planting, gathering areas and seating, artistic lighting to represent water, bioswales with crossing, and an art tower for an art installation with vertical elements as an homage to the historic Buena Vista Towers. Spatial opportunities diagram maintains the existing parking and roundabout and accessible parking spaces and updates the adjacent plaza space with seating and signage. The existing drainage channel becomes a lush bioswale with a crossing connecting to creating an additional connection to the plaza and the Santa Ana River Trail. St. Francis Falls is renovated and framed by terrace planting and public art, potentially playing out the historic towers. The connection to the Santa Ana River Greenway will become defined through signage and shade planting. The active program opportunities include a water play area, a plaza space, a nature play area, interactive installations, and an interpretive rock wall from the adjacent to the existing St. Francis Falls. The active spatial opportunities diagram reorients the parking turnaround and creating a larger plaza space for room for a water play area and additional elements within that plaza. St. Francis Falls would be renovated with an additional overlook and terraces added connecting from the Mount Rubidoux trails, with a more defined connection to the Santa Ana River Greenway, marked by a bike rest stop and shade node. So we're going to have the poll pop up shortly.
I have launched the poll, and I just wanted to remind folks these are all opportunities and ideas to get your juices flowing. We've not made any decisions about the park design, so really this is your opportunity to share what you like and share maybe something we missed.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to give it a few more seconds. We're at a nearly 60% participation rate. Keep those answers coming. And I'm going to end the poll, and here are your results.
Planting terrace, specimen planting, bioswale and stormwater management, seating, artistic lighting, water play feature, play area. All right, we're going to have another poll pop up for the spatial opportunities diagrams.
And I'm going to end the poll. Share the results.
So a combination of the two, passive and active, almost completely equal. The combination money.
Okay, Edith, thank you so much. And again, as a reminder, we want to hear from you. Please call the phone number, email us, or visit the website to share your thoughts about these parks. We do have one other question we want to ask you, if you wouldn't mind. Could you let us know how you learned about tonight's workshop? I'm going to launch that poll right now. This helps us gauge where we should put our resources and how we advertise these workshops. Again, as a reminder, this is the first of 3 virtual and hopefully or in-person workshops covering the first 3 sites tonight, the next 3 sites at the next event, and the final 3 sites at the 3rd event. So we would love to know how we can reach you better, and please feel free to share that information with us. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share the results. It looks like we got a lot of you because of flyers from colleagues and by email. So we will continue to use those channels as well as other opportunities. And then Matt, would you like to take this final question?
Sure. We want to ask you, as we move forward, this was the first 3 sites that we will be discussing. We'll have 2 additional virtual community workshops, but many other ways for you all to engage with the project through the website, project input map, and through the email and phone number that's listed on the website. You can reach out to us anytime with any feedback that you have, any questions that you may have. If you would like to request more information, please do so. But we want to hear from you all. What's a success look like now that we've gone through a little bit of the visioning exercise with these first 3 sites? And I know it's a lot to digest and kind of comprehend. And it was for us as well. It's a lot of information, and we're trying to really, extract it into a really easy presentation for you all. But we really want some feedback on what you think success looks like for these parks.
And go ahead and put your answers in the chat.
Yes. So let's see, we're seeing restore St. Francis Falls, safe and usable, open and friendly space for families, new disc golf course, safe and inclusive, green space, trees for people and wildlife, housing our population experiencing homelessness. I'm seeing disc golf again, archery. All right, this is great. Disc golf, archery, parking, well maintained. And so that being said, there really are many more opportunities. We have eight sites total, with much more, much more land available for any activities that we cannot, that are not feasible to include at Camp Evans, Loring Park, or St. Francis Falls. We really, enjoy receiving this feedback, because it really helps us think about the other projects downstream in the city of Riverside that are part of this project suite. So thank you all for these comments.
Matt, since we have a little bit of time, I was hoping we could ask some questions of our panelists and our city representatives. And I'm going to go through and get through some of these questions and invite anybody who wants to answer them to do so. We have a comment from one of our participants about when we're going to accept public comments as part of this meeting. Please send them our way, send chats, and send them through the website, send it voicemail, send it through email. These aren't design sites, so this is just really us providing an opportunity to share opportunities, to learn from you for what you want, and there'll be lots of time to continue to do so.
Kristen, real quick, I just wanted to confirm. So at the project website, it's a good opportunity for people to mull over the information a little bit longer and deeper before they provide additional information. So the website is a good place to go. This presentation is being recorded so that you can go back later and look at some of the exhibits in more detail and give even further comments than you may already have. So, and then our input map is also another way. If you wanted to put a comment in, particularly for Carlson, St. Francis Falls, you can drop a pin right there, and your comment will be related directly to that park site.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once, and I'm sending the link to our website through the chat too, so you can quickly go there. I'm going to go back to the part of our presentation that shows where on the website you can interact. So give me 1 second. Okay, so here's our project website, and you can do that by going to riversidegatewayparks.com. There's no www, although I think that gets you there too. And on the web page, this is the landing page. You'll see about, interactive map, survey. And if you click on interactive map, you'll be taken here. And on this map, you can go in and click around and add comments to various locations, as Elisa just mentioned. There's also a survey which asks you questions. We kind of prompt you with questions about the sites and your thoughts. But if you just have general comments or have a general question that you'd prefer to be anonymous, please feel free to use our phone number or email address. And I think there was another question on here about, will there be parking? Can I open that up to the panel to answer?
It depends on the site.
Yeah,
So if there,
just to answer that, and exactly as Elisa's saying, as far as parking and providing parking, adequate parking would have to be provided for whatever amenities are being that the community wants. And so if the community wanted a really active park, for example, Fairmont Park, we would need to provide adequate parking in that park. And I noticed that for Loring, that I think it was identified that maybe a little bit more passive uses were there, so less parking would be required. And maybe it's just a walk. It is just a neighborhood park, so it's more of a walk-to park. Parking lot would not likely even be provided at a park like Loring Park, because it would be a passive use, and people would be walking in from the river to use that park, or walking in from the neighborhood, or such. There might be a little bit of on-street parking, and maybe a few stalls, but not much more than that.
And I've seen comments about how much people appreciate this virtual platform. We will continue to offer this as an option. It does help everybody with their busy lives. So definitely this and or hybrid moving forward. And there's also questions about what's planned for these various locations. And just again, to remind you that we don't have any set plans. These are just all ideas, concepts, things to get your juices, is that the right word? Juices flowing, thinking about what's possible. A very talented group of designers and planners and engineers that are on our team, but it's your park. These are your parks. This is your river. We want to hear what you want.
And just to reinforce that, these are the community's parks. This input is critical. I've been watching the polls. I think about 50 people are online right now. This is being recorded. So 50 people at a community meeting, that is great, but this is just one community meeting. This is being recorded, and we're trying to drive as many people to the website as possible, which is another resource. Tell your friends, have them come to the site, share this information. They can watch this online. And just the more input we get, the better, the more reflective that the designs will be of what the community actually wants and needs. So it's really important that we get as much input as possible.
Randy, I saw a couple of questions in the chat regarding funding and timeline for these projects. I think it's important to go back to what we explained in the beginning of the presentation, that this process is really a master plan, a high level concept to look at these sites and what the opportunities may look like. The timeline for each site would be individually set based on funding received through various measures, whether it be local funding, state funding, at times federal funding. And so it's really, this process has a completion date for the master plans and the environmental compliance work of June of 2023. So I think that's important to note, that this process for these sites all along the Santa Ana River within the city of Riverside is really a high level approach, looking at a master plan for these sites, which then could be led into more specific design and then construction for these specific projects based on funding.
I noticed there was also a question regarding, I think in general, we get this question often now in parks. We never used to have this question in the 20 plus years that I've been designing parks, but how are we going to deal with homeless people in parks? And it comes up at every meeting now. And one of the ways that the city is doing that, we have a PSET public safety and engagement team that currently works in all of our parks to facilitate providing services to homeless. We also have a PANS program that is in its infancy that we're hiring right now, which is park and neighborhood under PD, that special park and neighborhood specialists that are going to be under PD and help facilitate keeping our parks safe. And there's also things that our designers, our excellent designers, can do to design in lighting, cameras, landscaping that will help minimize, areas where people would actually want to be able to hide. We want to make sure it's clear and the visibility is, and so those kinds of things, those design ideas will be implemented in anything that we do. And so it's sort of a threefold plan. Again, we never used to have to do this, but now we are becoming experts on and addressing, the homeless, and making sure that we do it up front and not be reactive and be proactive in our thought process of this.
If we have no other comments from our team, Randy, Elisa, would you like to close us out?
Sure.
Go ahead, Randy.
Sorry, Lisa.
No problem.
I just want to say real quick and that I appreciate everyone's time. I know your time is valuable, and but your opinion is really valuable, and just for you to take this time and share your thoughts is amazing. It's exciting. This is a great project. We have the California Coastal Conservancy on board that gave us this funding to do the design work and the environmental work. And it is very likely that they will support and at least be a partner in trying to get construction dollars to implement what the community's vision is. So again, thank you very much for your time and your work in helping us come up with designs for this.
Real quick, I'm going to jump in and just remind everybody, if you could please go to the website and put your email into the mailing list, just so that you get any future communications about this project, especially if you joined via the flyer or something else and you haven't already been to the website. Please go and add your name in. And as Randy said, thank you. You guys, we want the park to be for the community, by the community. So thank you for your time. And I think with that, we're ready to say goodnight to everybody. I think we have Kristen's screen.
All right, well, thanks everybody so much. We really appreciate it, and we're really excited about working with everybody on these.
Thank you. Thank you, design team, for sparking our imaginations too.
Excited.
Okay. Who
All right,
officially
thank you,
gets to-
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank yous all around.
Yeah, who clicks the final goodbye button?